be. Okay, so this is a list of some of the schools. I think most of us have some presentation here. If not, then today, then they will be presented at the meeting we have tomorrow, which will be more or less a repeat of this. And so I really want to start this off thinking about the students in the various programs who you spent the summer working on something in biomedical informatics, data science. And the question is, what's next to do with it? And this is really the goal of the seminar, is to get you to consider, if you're not already thinking about it, doctoral, other graduate studies in the field. The way I'm looking at this here is just to say, if is this for you? And if you want to work on advanced computing tools in exciting fields, improving health, doing research, really cutting edge research, and to work in the medical field without being a doctor. And I hear this not too often. The folks who start off, they want to go to medical school, and then they realize they'd rather do informatics. I mentioned these other points here about being self-motivated and willing to work hard. I think these are things you've probably seen this summer, and it's a big part of success in this world. And everything that I do is working with a team of people. And I think that's very much the same for a lot of the other folks in the field. So if you like working well in teams, this is a good field to be in. And with that, I want to take some time and just to go quickly around the room to have some of the faculty introduce themselves. And what I'd like to do is really to have everybody sort of give a minute or so on what brought you into biomedical informatics, how you knew it was something for you, and what sort of work you do really quickly. And so I'm not sure exactly here who is faculty or who isn't, but I think I mostly know. But Alex, you want to start? And let's keep it concise, please.
Got me into informatics. So I started as a computer scientist undergrad, and then I longed for more math and more bio, and I ended up in a biomathematics program. And then from that, actually that program was had one of the first Acme Fellows as founding faculty at a UCLA. And then from that, I slowly looked at kind of what applications and where my informatics skills are useful. And I realized that there's this niche, an intersection of bioinformatics and health informatics, where I could apply my skills. And that got me interested in this area. And this is where I am now. And that's what I do for a living.
Got to unmute. Let's see, going through my screen in order. Kim, can you want to say something?
Sure. So I did my undergraduate degree in biomedical engineering because I wanted to be in the healthcare field, but not involved in healthcare, like directly caring for patients. And then I was working in industry for several years and had the opportunity to see kind of hands-on patient provider interactions around diabetes care, and seeing the important role that the physician having the right information at the right moments in time in a format that they could understand really made a difference in helping patients care for their diabetes at home. And so from that point, I went home and I Googled, like, I thought there must be some graduate degree in this sort of field. And so I Googled what that was and came across biomedical informatics.
Bill. Yeah, Bill, you're up.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm Bill Hirsch. I'm from Oregon Health and Science University, and we have two summer internship groups this summer, the R25 program, and then also one from the Bridge to AI, Voice AI program. I got my start with the NLM T15 program, needless to say, several decades ago. I actually started college in computer science. I lost interest in it. I went to medical school. As I was finishing my medical training, I got back into the computing side of it, initially in my spare time. And then someone told me about the informatics field and these training opportunities. So I joined the T15 program at Harvard. And when I finished that, I was looking for a job, and there was a job available at OHSU, Oregon Health and Science University, and that's how I ended up here, where I've now been for a long time. And we started a department and a graduate program and so forth. And it's been very enjoyable, and I hope that some of the interns from around the country will consider this as a career.
Great. Lena?
Hello, everybody. I'm Lina Mamakina. I am a graduate program director at Columbia University. As many others, it sounds like on this call, my background is also in computer science. And I actually went all the way with the computer science PhD. But somewhere halfway through my program, I became very interested. Actually, my focus has always been on human-computer interaction. So I've always been interested in how humans interact with computing and how we can build computing systems that help humans do something better than they could before. I became very interested in chronic disease self-management and started working on diabetes self-management. And I find that it is such a hard disease to manage, but such an intellectually stimulating area to work in that I've been working in it for over 15 years now. And I like to build systems, I like to deploy systems and study how people use these systems. I spend a lot of time observing and interviewing people and understanding how they do what they do. And when I graduated with my PhD in computer science, it seemed like I wanted to stay in health and healthcare, and biomedical informatics was really the best place to work on the intersection of very interesting, advanced modern computing and health-related problems. So, and I've continued, I did my postdoc at Columbia for a couple of years, and then I stayed there as a faculty. And I see we have a student from Columbia also who is working on similar problems. So we hope you have questions about that.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm going to continue here. Arjun?
Hey everyone, I'm Arjun Krishnan. I'm an associate professor at the University of Colorado on Schuetz Medical Campus and an MPI on the T15. I started getting, I think my biggest break in thinking about biomedical informatics is I watched Jurassic Park when I was 9 years old. I thought, okay, it'll be awesome to do anything related to genetics in my life at some point. And then simultaneously, I was always in love with mathematics. So I was able to maintain these two interests and do an undergraduate degree both in biology and in engineering. And then late in undergrad, I discovered this beautiful area of programming. And I thought, okay, you can sit in front of the computer and then build, really cool stuff and solve interesting biological problems. So that was my way into bioinformatics and computational biology, which is what I did my PhD in. And in general, I really love working on very hard problems with a great group of people. And especially one of the things I appreciate about computational biology is that it's such a confluence of ideas. So I've really come to appreciate the fact that good ideas can come from anywhere and from anyone.
Great. Thank you. Brian?
Yes, good afternoon. I'm Brian Dixon. I'm the program director here at Indiana University and the Regan Street Institute. So like many of others, my background in undergraduate was computer science. A lot of my peers were going to take jobs at that time at big consulting firms and in the financial district. And I kind of thought to myself, I don't really want to do that. That didn't really appeal to me. I had been doing a lot of volunteering and community work in my college town. And so I really wanted to do something with nonprofits. And so I ended up going to graduate school to get my degree in public administration and public management. So thinking to myself, well, maybe I'll become a CIO at like a nonprofit or like the city government or something like that. So that was kind of my trajectory. And then I started working with a nonprofit here in Indianapolis called the Regan Street Institute, and they developed IT systems in healthcare, and that kind of drew me into the healthcare side. So I ended up doing my PhD in health informatics, which, as you probably figured out by now, is at the intersection of computer science and information management and the human side of computing. And so that really kind of cinched my my interest then in informatics, and I focused my dissertation work in public health. And so I then stayed in doing research and work with public health partners, building and deploying systems in that space. So that's really what drew me to it, and then everything else has just kept me going, and I do not regret any decisions I've made. Thanks.
Awesome. Is there anybody else here who's faculty who I should be calling on? Because I got to tell the students here that
Yeah,
as with so many. Oh, Dennis, I'm sorry, Dennis.
no,
go
no
ahead.
problem.
Yeah.
Hi, Dennis Wall. I'm the director of the graduate program at Stanford. My undergrad was not in computer science. Actually, it was in more traditional biology, evolutionary biology. And I did my PhD on the origin, evolution, and rapid diversification of a paleotropic endemic moss that preferentially grows on coconut trees near beaches in Tahiti. So I had to like travel to those distant places, sadly, and spend time adrift in French Polynesia collecting moss. I later paid for it because I had to then extract the DNA from those specimens and sequence their genes to understand the genetic changes that led to their diversification. But that's where computer science started to come in. And then I went to do my postdoc as a National Science Foundation fellowship at Stanford in computational genetics. And then I did my first faculty position at Harvard and started to fall in love with biomedical data science or biomedical informatics, and position my career for personal and other reasons on developmental delays in children, namely autism, where we can make these really big impacts through data science. And so we've been building artificial intelligence systems for diagnostics and therapeutics and all sorts of cool things like that. It's a far cry from, collecting moss after surfing on beaches in Tahiti, but just a testament to the fact that you can kind of go from one place to another and they don't have to be connected in any way. Happy to take any questions you guys have.
Awesome, thanks. So let me just quickly, my story here is I'm a professor of biomedical informatics at the University of Pittsburgh. I also started off as a computer science person and worked in various fields in research and a little bit commercially for a few years before I went back to graduate school, and where I studied human-computer interaction for many years, like Lena. And I can actually remember reading some of Lena's papers back in the day and admiring them like I still do now. I did a postdoc in computational biology and ended up landing in biomedical informatics as a field where I've done work on, still some work in what I consider my home field of human-computer interaction, but done work in biomedical informatics, in bioinformatics. I've done work in machine learning with clinical data. More recently, I've been involved in working with a lot of people doing infectious disease modeling and a lot of other places where, if you look at my paper background, I have no business being, but I still do some work there. And so, the point of all this is really to say that one of the things that's great about this field is that people come in with so many different perspectives and so many varied backgrounds, and so many different ways to make some contributions and to do some fun and interesting and worthwhile work. And so one of the things I would say, giving advice to folks, if I were, and I guess I am, is to say that if you're interested and you're willing to work hard at it and to learn, that's really the starting point. Don't take yourself out of the game if you think, oh, that's not for me, I don't have the right background for that, then that's not the right way to look at this. So what I want to do now is to take a minute here and go over a little bit about some of the possible opportunities here in our programs, and just introduce you to all of what some of this means, and then we can go from there and hear from some of the trainees about their stories, and also particularly about the work that they're doing. So hopefully soon, in a second, you'll see my slides. So we all represent the NLMs, oops, typo there, the university-based biomedical informatics and data science research training programs, of which there are 18 nationally. You can see them on the map and listed here. We don't have representatives from all of these programs here, but as I see it, I think we've got Columbia, Indiana, Regan Street, Medical University of South Carolina and Clemson, Oregon Health and Science University, Stanford. I think there's somebody from Buffalo on the call, Colorado, Pittsburgh, Vanderbilt. Did I miss anybody? Anyway, so these programs, the programs are going to differ in some of the way they do things, but the important thing to note from your point of view here is that students at these programs are generally fully funded, meaning you go to these programs, you're going to get a stipend, you're going to get your tuition covered. There might be some additional support, particularly if you are on the NLM fellowship, which generally people get between 1 and 4 years of support. Most of these schools, if not all, will say if you're not supported by the NLM fellowship, that you'll have some other support, whether it's from a graduate research grant or some other means. The stipends for these programs, I didn't do a complete survey, but the stipends in most places are enough to live on reasonably well. At Pitt, they raised it to $40,000 a couple of years ago, which is not as much as some of the other schools pay as a stipend, but our cost of living here are a lot cheaper than they may be at many of the places on the coasts, in particular. You'll get health insurance, you might get some travel support, and a little bit beyond that. And so that's just to say that you can do this work and go to graduate school without making it financially untenable or unworkable to live. And you won't get rich as a graduate student, but you can pay your rent. So because hopefully the folks who are listening and learning here are mostly undergraduates. Do I see a question here? I see a hand raised.
Did you stop sharing your screen, by the way?
I think I did, didn't I? Or yeah, did you want to see something on this on the slides?
Oh, sorry, never mind. Sorry.
Okay. So what we were told here as we were planning this is that we thought that the students would want to hear more from other students. So I'd like to now sort of go across the room here, and we have several pre-doc and post-doc students who are around who want to just tell you a little bit about their work and what they're doing and how they got to where they are. And so we'll take some time on that. And I'm just gonna, again, go through here in order. Harsh, you want to start us off, please?
Yeah, so I am from Indiana University in Indianapolis, and this summer I did a database internship under Dr. Pugliesta. And what my research project was utilizing wearable health technology in order to enhance it, in order to like display 10 activities. And for this particular reason was for Parkinson's disease individuals, because they have tremors that occur and certain activities reduce those tremors. And so we were trying to see if we can monitor certain activities, which activities were causing the reduction of tremors and intensity and interval of time. And I don't think I said my degree, but my degree is health informatics at Indiana University in Indianapolis.
Great. Joy.
Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well. I kind of have this classic background where I was pre-med in undergrad. I went to undergrad at University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I was in biology and I also had a degree in math. And I was in this bioinformatics lab trying to do research for pre-med. And then I realized that I was just so enamored by the professor there. He was really nice. And he told me that if you had gone into medical school, they don't really cultivate those quantitative skills too much. And you might be throwing away part of your identity if you go down this route. And so I kind of pursued a graduate degree to, help medicine or try to solve problems in my own way in the medical field and contribute to that. And right now I do imaging research. I focus mostly on brain MRIs and trying to do cognitive neuroscience. I'm really interested in the translational part of things and trying to find biomarkers of disease. Yeah, that's it. Happy to answer any questions about imaging in Maryland and Baltimore, Pittsburgh.
Excellent. Hannah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah. I am a postdoc T15 researcher at Regenstrief Institute with Brian at Indianapolis for IU. I do not have a very common background, so I'll just sort of talk about my winding path to get here. I was a psychology undergrad, and I thought I was going to be a clinical psychologist. When I came around to graduating and I wanted to apply to graduate programs, I was told I needed research experience. So I went and got a job and got research experience, and I actually fell in love with that process. So I decided instead to pursue an MPH and ultimately a PhD in epidemiology. My focus there was on molecular cancer research. And what I started to realize is while I was not going to be the world's premier epidemiologist, I did really well with the computer programming side of sort of the back end of cleaning genomic files, working sort of to make efficient databases and also lab work. And so I decided to go on and get a little bit more computer programming skills. So I found this T15 program. And now what I am focusing on or trying to sort of get into is digital pathology using computer vision. And my interest for the application is to essentially make efficient, cost-effective, and equitable molecular cancer research. If you think about sort of your interests as a PhD student, you know, there's not really going to be any grant money left over for any sort of molecular measures you might want to perform on your PI's tissues. But if you can digitally stain and unstain a tissue slide, then you effectively have sort of a blank canvas to work with. And so my work is really trying to build sort of the back end programmatic sort of tools to then facilitate epidemiologic endeavors. And I, like everyone else, happy to take any questions afterwards.
Great, thank you. Emma?
Hi, everyone. My name is Emma Cohen, and I'm a PhD student at the hybrid program between Clemson University and Medical University of South Carolina. I'm also funded by the T15. As an undergraduate, I was pre-med, but I also studied law, linguistics, and minored in architecture as well. Originally, I wanted to go to med school, but I did some microbiology research in my undergrad, found it really fascinating, wanted to continue doing more research. So when I graduated, worked for a while in a cancer research lab at Medical University of South Carolina as well. And I was really struck by the potential impact of computer science and data science in healthcare. And I really enjoy solving problems and puzzles. So decided to pursue my PhD. And now my research focuses on integrating AI into clinical settings and using implementation science strategies to improve programs for patients with genetic predispositions to cancer. So one example would be developing a chatbot to help return results to patients who have positive genetic test results or that predispose them to some type of cancer. And I'm really motivated by the potential of AI to mitigate health disparities, and that's where I'm hoping to focus my career. Thank you.
I wanted to add, Emma is actually sitting for qualifying exams right now, like this week. She's writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is correct.
Good luck, Emma.
Thank you so much. Yes, the fact that I'm still enjoying my program this week, I think says something. So thank you for having me.
You know, I think it's fair to say anybody says they're enjoying every minute of their PhD is exaggerating. So it's not without its challenges. Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel Stevens. I'm a second-year PhD student at the University of Buffalo. I have a little bit of a different background as well. I'm coming from a political science and applied mathematics background. I then went on to do some research in health policy at a think tank. And I realized how much I hated working in politics. And so I kind of began to think, how am I going to combine my interest in applied mathematics and health policy? And I landed in biomedical informatics because it's a really great field to, think about how we can use data and technology to reduce health disparities and argue for health advocacy through things other than really subjective means. You can use mathematics, you can use machine learning and AI to really showcase health disparities. And so right now, we recently published a paper on the socio-demographic biases in machine learning algorithms from a biomedical informatics perspective. And so we're really excited about that. And that's where most of my work lies. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Great, thank you. Next up on my screen is Bryce, and I think Bryce has a slide, so I'm going to try to show that.
Thanks.
And why don't you start and I'll get it up going all.
Yeah, sure. I can go through my background. So I also had my undergrad experience or background in computer science, but it was actually mixed with chemistry. So my undergrad was computer science and chemistry, and I quickly learned that I wasn't super interested in chemistry and kind of transitioned more towards bioinformatics. And then I actually did a staff position in a lab because I wasn't really sure about research yet. I had done research as an undergrad, but nothing really, spoke to me or I was passionate about. But then I started doing research in a different lab, the lab I'm in now, as a software engineer, and I really, really liked working with, genomics. So I transitioned to a grad student position, and then, I think that while the pure string theory, or I shouldn't say string theory, but working with, strings computer sciences is really nice and neat. I think that I was kind of looking for some sort of application that would help, motivate the problems a bit more. And so that's kind of how I transitioned to working on more, clinical side of things. In particular, also I'm at Rice University, across from the Texas Medical Center. So there was, a lot of desire to work kind of on a more interdisciplinary type work. So I'm in my fourth year of my PhD now, and I work on this area of pangenomics, which is essentially trying to combine information from multiple genomes together into kind of a single structure, so that depending on the demographic or kind of geographic background of somebody, we can help give them better outcomes as far as clinical applications for genomics, personalized medicine type things, regardless of where they're from. But the problem is with the way things currently work is pangenomics is kind of it's difficult, it's really expensive computationally, and also it's very kind of specific to your application. So our goal is really just kind of simplify these things and make them easier. And so kind of an example at the bottom left is, medically relevant region, the HLA complex. And it shows how, different samples or different people can have, these different areas in their genome present. And then making one of these graphs has like a ton of steps, which is on the right. This is a gigantic pipeline. And my work in particular is very early in the pipeline. So the motivation is it has a lot of downstream effects.
Excellent, thank you. Okay. Wonderful. Pooja, you want to tell us a little bit?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. It's nice to hear all the synergies between also all the people on this call. I did not major in computer science. My background's in neuroscience. I also wanted to be a doctor. And I specifically really wanted to do a lot of work in primary care, which is a lot of chronic disease self-management, and in shadowing patients and doing that. I applied to med school. I did the whole thing. Happy to chat more about that and deciding. But I think I really realized that so much of the work of primary care and chronic disease management really happens when patients are at home. On the side, I was a graphic designer and actually started working with Lena, who is now my PhD advisor, to design user interfaces for a system that they were building, and kind of got pulled in that way, where I was like, oh my God, I can use this tool, this passion I have. And actually, it's a really important and interesting research question to think about: how do we design interfaces to help people engage with these kinds of technologies to facilitate health at home? Because we can build really cool systems and use AI in all these interesting ways, but if those don't fit into the right parts of people's workflow and they aren't able to adequately use and understand the insights from that, then it's just a missed opportunity. So a lot of my work really focuses around building, designing different systems, and then evaluating how people use them in the real world, specifically around helping them manage chronic diseases like diabetes or lupus, So an example is we're working on a diabetes chatbot to help people navigate how to make nutrition decisions and health-related decisions as they navigate their care at home. And that's like in a clinical trial right now. So happy to answer any questions about that path. And yeah.
Awesome. Crystal.
Hi, my name is Crystal Tomlin. I'm starting my second year of a T15 postdoc. I'm at University at Buffalo right now with Dr. Elkin. And I actually started out pre-med track in undergrad, and then I took a class, and the teacher, I fell in love with the class, and the teacher encouraged me to apply for grad school and get into research. And I discovered I really liked bioinformatics. My PhD was actually on genomics of a plant radiation. And from there, I really loved coding, so I wanted to do something that would involve coding and, have more impact. So I joined Dr. Elkin's lab in biomedical informatics. And I really like the idea of using the electronic health record of these databases to learn various things from them and kind of mine them. For instance, I am working on a project to see if Wellbutrin, which can aid in quitting smoking, can also help with outcomes of drinking. So it can help reduce, for instance, alcohol withdrawal.
Great, thank you. Sophia.
Hi, my name is Sophia Colorado, and I'm at the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. The last name has nothing to do with where I live, I'm from, or where I attend school. Just putting that out there. I went to undergrad at the University, Wesleyan University in Connecticut, actually, and I majored in biology and French. So I'm feeling pretty at home in this group of kind of unconventional people. But I did get a minor in informatics and modeling, and that was where I kind of found my passion for coding and programming, and the combination, like the intersection of biology and computer science. So that led me to Colorado here, back home, at the program at Anschutz, where I'm currently a PhD student, working in Kathy Losapon's lab, mostly studying the microbiome and the effect that diet has on the cooperative nature of our host, so typically humans, and the microbes in our gut, and how diet is modulating that and how it can impact our health in different disease contexts. So.
Excellent. Eddie.
Hey everyone, my name's Eddie Perez Claudio. I'm a fifth year doctoral candidate at the Biomedical Informatics department here at the University of Pittsburgh. My graduate work touches on the topics of clinical decision support, trustworthy AI, and user-centered design. A little bit about myself. I wasn't always interested in biomedical informatics. Like many of you, I started as a molecular biologist, and even then in name only. Most of my undergrad, I was studying how social signals modulate learning and memory in honeybees. And it was thanks to that experience that I started to see being a researcher in academia as a viable career path for me. That's why after my bachelor's degree, I continued onto a master's studying molecular mechanisms of learning and memory in honeybees. And as one gets more into that bioinformatics side of biology, I start to get more and more interested in using these computational methods. And I ended up applying to a summer program here at the Biomedical Informatics department of the University of Pittsburgh. And that was my first time being exposed to human subjects research and to research that was that was not basic science research. And I felt like I wanted to have a more direct impact in improving the quality of life and health of people. And that's why when I finished my master's degree, I applied to this biomedical informatics program. And now most of my work centers around developing an interpretable predictive model and an EMR interface that are meant to work together to help clinicians in the pediatric ICU not just detect which patients are at risk of developing a neurologic morbidity, but also to understand why we are saying that these patients are at risk. Thank you.
Excellent. Next, is it Micah?
It's pronounced Micaiah.
Micaiah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
It's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Micaiah McDonald. I go to Meharry Medical College. I am part of the master's program at the School of Applied Computational Sciences, getting my master's in biomedical data science.
Okay, Bao? All right, perhaps not. Tessa?
Hi, so I'm an intern currently at the Medical University of South Carolina.
Okay, got it.
And yeah.
Okay, thanks. All right, so you've heard from a bunch of our current postdocs and pre-docs, and I think hopefully the point you get out of all this is to hear that we've got a huge variety of people doing a lot of different things, coming from a lot of different perspectives. And that, I think, to everybody who's been in the field for a while will know that that's just sort of a day in the life. That's what things are like here, and we're always doing different things and working with different people. So now I just want to spend a couple minutes here, and I'm going to go through some slides to just talk about sort of what's involved in being a PhD student, what it takes to apply, and some things like that. So I'm going to apologize for doing a lot of the talking here, but bear with me, please. So what's involved? A couple of years of coursework, usually 1 to 2 years, depending on the program you're in. During that time, you're going to be studying a bunch of the background fields. I've listed some of them, but this is just a subset. There's probably a lot more in any given program. And generally, people will then, usually in their first year, but definitely as they get into the second year, start working on research with the faculty research advisor on the project that's going to be their PhD for likely, hopefully, a total of 4 to 5 years. And as I said, people are usually funded for this time. So, the details are going to differ from one program to the next, but that's the general gist of it. So what do you do as a PhD student or doctoral student? This is just some of it here. Some of the things that people spend time on, and frankly, this is also, if you add on spending a lot of times in meetings, this would be what I spend my time doing, although meetings are probably the bulk of it. But just some of the activities, and really the point being here is that even if you're knee deep in building a system and writing code, that's only going to be a part of what you're going to spend your time doing. And the range of activities that people get involved in are really broad and enough to keep anybody on their toes. And so I know I do, as I said, do a lot of these things every day and certainly every week. So let's say we've convinced you that you want to apply. You're already, the folks in the internship programs, you're already doing the right thing. You're trying your hand out at research. and seeing how you like it. Some people are going to love it. That's great. If you don't, then you might want to think, well, this is really for me. But if you do like it, then you want to think about applying to a PhD program. And basically what you want to do is the summer or the fall before you're going to apply, maybe that's the summer of your, after your junior year, for example, or maybe, and we can talk about this a bit, maybe you decide you're going to try out the field a bit by working for a couple of years, and then you decide to apply. But you want to start identifying some programs, getting some recommendation letters, preferably from somebody you've done research with, and then work on your personal statements. And the personal statement is going to be something where you say, this is who I am, this is why I want to do this doctoral work. And really to try to make that convincing and compelling is the trick. I know, speaking personally, I read a lot of these things every year. And I hear a lot of stories from people about why they want to do their research. And the ones that really win, in my book, is when people tell me why they want to do biomedical informatics and what motivates them and what they're interested in. That's not to say they've got to have a specific project lined up, but to tell me that they really know what the field is and what they want to do with it is important. And so usually people will complete graduate applications in December or January. You want to check your schools and find out the deadlines. I know we have some programs with deadlines as early as December 1st and others maybe January. And then early in the year, people will start having interviews and eventually offering slots to folks. So I know here at Pitt, we tend to try to meet with potential candidates via Zoom once to just sort of check in and do a first round of interviews. And then the people who we think are most interesting to us, we'll bring them here for a weekend to meet with people, to interview in person, to see what we're like, and to meet some of the students and to understand what it might be like to come here to Pittsburgh. Again, I'm sure other programs do it slightly differently, but that's going to be the general model. And so I mentioned a little bit of this, but if you want to have a successful application, you want to really have a strong personal statement that says what is the field, that you know what it is and why you want to do it, and some sort of a vision of what you'd want to do. As I said, nobody's going to expect this to be a doctoral proposal. Nobody's going to hold you to it. We all understand how things change over time, but if you can't convince me that you know what we're doing and why you're here, then you're going to not do well. And I'll give one example of this. One of the things that I used to see a lot, and I think still happens on a fairly regular basis, is I get applications from students who say they want to apply to our bioinformatics program. And it's a bit of a pedantic point, but we're not a bioinformatics program. We're a biomedical informatics program. We do some bioinformatics, but that's not really what our program's about. And so if you can't get the name of the program right, then I have to wonder what you're thinking on your application. We also need to see strong recommendation letters. And this is really where you want to see somebody who really knows what you can do in research or in computing in some aspect of the field that's relevant, to say that they think you can do research well. Your professors, the faculty you work with, are the folks who are going to know what it means to do research and will understand what we're looking for in a PhD program. They're probably your best bet. We sometimes get letters from people who have had jobs in unrelated businesses, and they get a job saying, yeah, they're a great, reliable person. And that's all fine and useful, but it's really that much more compelling when somebody says, this person really understands informatics, or they understand research, or some aspect that's much closer to what we really do. So that's what we like to see. So finally, just a comment about what not to worry about. This might seem counterintuitive. Don't worry too much about grades. And by that, I mean, yeah, if your GPA is 1.6, it might be hard to get you into a PhD program. But we've turned down people who had 3.8 GPAs and in favor of people who had much lower grades. We want to see people who can do the work and who are interested and motivated. And that really comes through much more so in talking to people and seeing the other work they've done and hearing about their experiences than it does in the grades. So don't let your GPA convince you that you wouldn't get in. GRE scores, Here at the University of Pittsburgh, we haven't used them for about 5 years. Many other schools have stopped requiring them. Certainly you want to look at the schools you're interested in applying to and see what they say about that. But my suggestion to you is if you find that the schools you want to attend don't require them, then don't bother. Application fees. Yes, there is a fee. If you find it a difficulty to pay the application fee because you don't have the funds, in many programs you can just ask and they'll waive the fee. So don't worry about these things. I'm going to put up this list here and I'll show this again of all the programs here that you've seen today and a few others, and the link to the other T15 programs. I have a form here that I'll put the link in the chat in just a minute once I stop sharing my screen, where you can sign up and if you're interested in learning more, and we'll get you some more information. So with that, I want to open the floor up for questions and see if there's anything anybody would care to discuss. And also if there's anything that my colleagues on the faculty side would like to add that I might have missed. So if you have a question, please just fire away.
Actually, Harry, I was,
sorry, Bill, go ahead.
Okay, I was just also, one of the things that's great about this field is the, diversity of backgrounds and so forth. There is a pathway through clinical fields, and I'm an example of it myself. And if you go to one of our professional association meetings, there's plenty of people who have MD, RN, pharmacist, nursing, public health professional, et cetera. Oftentimes when people get a doctoral degree, a healthcare doctoral degree like MD or DNP, a doctor of nursing practice, they'll kind of come into the field at the postdoc level, which is what I did, and learn the skills, learn the knowledge and skills around informatics and doing research in it and so forth. So that is another pathway. I wouldn't recommend that someone go to medical school or nursing school just to have a clinical background, but for people who are interested in the clinical fields, some people practice. I did so early in my career. I don't anymore. That's another option for people.
Absolutely. And I know at least a couple of folks who are fairly prominent in the field with MDs who never, as far as I know, never practiced. So again, not that you'd recommend that per se, but it does happen. I want to take a second here to introduce a late coming colleague who just joined us most of the way through this. And that would be Titus Schleier. Titus, would you like to introduce yourself and cover the material that you were going to talk about?
Yes, thanks, Harry. And hi to a special welcome to the R25 trainees. It's great to see you. I only have a cameo appearance to talk about climate health and informatics. I am the co-director of the University of the Indiana University Regenstrief training program. And I think Harry's getting ready to get my visual in place. Be not afraid, there's only one slide, and click. So that means advanced slide, Harry. So healthcare in the United States is responsible for 8.5% of all US greenhouse gas emissions. And click. That is a paradox. So why is that a paradox? Question for our R25 colleagues. And you can either scream or type or give a thumbs up, thumbs down. Any reaction?
That's less of a proportion than the economy of healthcare. The GDP, percentage of GDP of healthcare is about 17, 18%. So healthcare is responsible for less.
But we're doing good, Bill, right?
Hopefully, we can do a lot better, but.
Yes, we can do a lot better. But yes, Bill is right. It's about half of what our GNP contribution or portion is. So if you think about click about climate change and health, I have a feeling that several of you have experienced real consequences of climate change already on your health. I've listed a couple here that you can read a lot about, but with more frequent heat waves, wildfires, maybe some of you are in California right now, close to the Park Fire, vector-borne diseases as a factor of weather changes and changing insect habitats. It's a big problem now, and it's actually going to get bigger. So click. If that is interesting for you, I'd invite you to check out some of the materials I've linked here. So there's two of them. One is an interview that I gave, or a podcast about climate change and informatics. And the second one is the working group at the American Medical Informatics Association that I founded last year. It now has 88 members, up from 0 in July. And Harry is actually one of our members. And Bill, I don't know whether you are already one of our members, but we would love to have you. Feel free to get in touch with me to explore maybe one of the newer areas of biomedical